Following the great adventure at the dungeon, it is no hearsay to admit that Fran and Teacher have leveled up to one of the greatest levels as an adventurer. And they are at this point one of the very best, if not the best. Also, since they killed a level B greater demon, they have gained a new class and earned new skills. They are presently at their report to the guild master, Klimt. Klimt is asking for the greater demon's crystal, which should be on every demon. But the one for the greater demon has been used by Teacher to regenerate when he killed the greater demon. So, they do not have it. Fran tells Klimt that the crystal was misplaced during the fight, and she doesn't know how the crystal disappeared. Following her great works at the dungeon, Klimt has no option but to believe her. But a weird-looking man, who they do not know, enters the office and says that Fran is lying. Both Fran and Teacher look at the man in shock, and Teacher acknowledges that he didn't feel the presence of that man when he entered. And he can't figure out why he couldn't feel his presence. Irrespective of that, this man tells them that Fran is lying. He claims that his unique feature is that he can figure out when someone is lying. At that point, Fran asks him who he is, and she doesn't know or recognize him. He screams and asks her how she doesn't know him. Then he introduces himself as August Alsand, the vice captain of a lesson night. The word night rings a bell in the ears of both Teacher and Fran suddenly remembers what Miss Nell has told her before going to the dungeon for the fight. Miss Nell has earlier told Fran that the knights are meant to give the guild some warriors to fight the war, but the vice captain of the knights hates adventurers. And that's why he has insisted that he won't release his knights. Fran figures August is the ninth that hates adventurers. August continues and tells them he has the essence of falsehood skills, and he can see through deceit and lies. So, it will help if Fran doesn't like him. He tells Klimt that saying the crystal disappeared is a lie, and that Fran should be punished. Fran insists that she isn't lying, but August gets angry. He says she has no right to lie in the presence of a noble. And this makes Teacher more inquisitive. He decides to check August's appraisal. He finds out August is level 30 knight, but when he checks his qualities, August's skills and qualities are too low for a level 39. He has level 1 sword skills, and he also has a presence concealing ring. Teacher realizes that the presence concealing ring is the reason he didn't notice when August entered the room. Upon checking on August, he finds out August indeed has essence of falsehood skills. And he asks his appraisal skills for the meaning of the essence of falsehood skills. He finds out the skill means the owner can tell when a person is lying. And he also has the power to make his words sound true and convincing. Teacher finds out August has been using his skills to convict people wrongly. And on one account, he accuses a girl of stealing some property even when she actually found it. He knows the truth, but he accused the girl purposefully. August goes to Klimt and tells Klimt he is sure that the crystal isn't lost. Fran has lied to him, so Klimt should give him the authority to punish Fran. Klimt refuses, and he angrily asks Klimt if Klimt wants to allow a person who lied to a noble to go scot-free. And insists he will punish Fran. At this point, Klimt tells him that even if he releases Fran to him, Fran is a very strong adventurer. And there is no way August can defeat Fran. It is obvious that Klimt still thinks Fran is telling the truth. But August insists on his conviction. Klimt tells him that he can't handle Fran, and Fran was the one that single-handedly defeated a level B greater demon. So, he is nothing in the presence of Fran. He resigns to fate and says that if Klimt wants him to forgive Fran, then Klimt must give him the demon's body and the other loot that they got from the dungeon. But Klimt refuses. Klimt reminds him that when they asked for knights to help them with the quest, the knights refused to help them. August says it's because they do not know how risky the dungeon is. And that's the reason they can't release knights. They had to be sure the dungeon was a risky one before he could drop his noble knights. And now he is sure the dungeon wasn't difficult, which explains why a little girl could destroy the dungeon. So, he doesn't regret his decision not to give them knights. Klimt tells him that they are fine without the knights. But the major point is he shouldn't think of getting any of the dungeon loot even when he didn't join the fight. He insists he will report Fran for disrespecting him and lying to him. Klimt says he is sure Captain Eurus, the captain of the knights, wouldn't have refused their request for knights. And he is sure the request didn't get to Eurus's table, and it was August who single-handedly threw away the request. August speaks defensively and asks Klimt not to think of dividing the knights. Klimt tells them that the crystal, as well as everything that comes from the greater demon, belongs to Fran. So, Even if she refuses to release it, she isn't at fault. Clint asks August to leave without causing much trouble and says if he does, he will report to Captain Eurus that August didn't release knights for the subjugation. August becomes like a typical crybaby. He says if Clint tells Eurus anything, then he is weighing a war against Sir Holmes, which is his father, to settle the fight. Fran brings out the last proceeding of the dungeon with her. She tells them she will give them what she has. And August expects that it's something valuable, only for August to see her holding goblin horns. He gets angry with her and pushes her away. The horns fall down from her hands, and she falls too. August angrily speaks to Clint, telling him he didn't teach Fran how to respect the nobles. While Fran is also angry and furious that August pushed her away. She is flaming red, and she tells Teacher that she will kill August. Teacher tries to calm her down. He reminds her that if she kills a noble in the office of the guild master, then she will go down in history of the town. He brings a better option and reminds her of the skills they took from the greater demon, the skill taker. They decide to use these skills against August. She takes August's essence of falsehood skill as well as his court etiquette skills. After taking it, she looks at August and tells him she is 100 years old. And asks him to decode her age. He finds out he can't do anything. Also, he starts behaving like a poor person, and he loses his etiquette. The mucus comes out of his nose, and he is in disarray. He tells them he is tired and he walks away while polluting the air as he walks by. After he leaves, Clint apologizes to Fran. He tells them August is one of those nobles who buy their position with money. And as they can see, he has high ranks, but he is weak. Wealthy nobles like that do hire young men to go on adventures for them. Then they will take the glory of the adventure and level up. It's called power leveling. Nell arrives, and she hugs Fran excitedly. She welcomes Fran back before concentrating on Clint, who asks her if she has prepared all they need. Then Clint tells Fran that she should drop her adventurer badge for a change as she is going to be promoted. She assumes that they will promote her to level E, but Clint tells her she is going directly to level D. She is so excited and shocked at this claim. They tell her she deserves better. And they are so glad she saved their city from being destroyed. Clint says he had earlier tried to argue that she should be promoted to level C for her courageous acts. But the older people at the guild refused his proposal and reminded him that Fran is a new adventurer. He tells her she will get her payment. And they also prepared great bonuses for her great acts. She leaves the office with Nell, and she meets the other adventurers at the guild. The energy is high, and it's obvious that they are all happy for her. They congratulate her on her newest promotion. And they tell her to stay with them and celebrate. Based on Teacher's advice, she decides that since she has enough money due to excess bonuses and payments, she should buy drinks for them. She happily announces that all drinks taken in the guild that evening will be paid for by her. She celebrates throughout the day, and she returns to her in that night with Teacher. That night, Teacher thinks about how far she has gone and how much she has grown. He remembers that he has promised her curry soup the next day. And he thinks of how he will fulfill his promise. On the other hand, August is having the most miserable day. He is scratching his body, and he's behaving irrationally. He keeps itching his head, and he finds it difficult to comfort himself. The following day, just as Teacher has promised, he takes Fran to the woods. And he prepares to make her the curry stew he promised her. He uses his spells to gather all the ingredients necessary for the stew, and he prepares it. She enjoys the first set of the stew as she eats it with rice. Then he prepares different versions of it for her, the bland, the mild, and the strong version. It's obvious Fran is enjoying her day. As they leave the woods, they see a man waiting for them. The man asks her if she knows August. And she recalls that August is the rude noble that fell into her trap. He tells her that August is looking for her, and he doesn't know how she relates to August. He tells her August behaved badly in the presence of his father, Count Holmes, and he has been sent away. But he keeps asking for Fran. The man tells her August is a bad person, and she should be careful. She continues her journey, feeling guilty for what she has done to August. But Teacher reminds her it was August who looked for their trouble first. They notice that someone is tailing her. He tells her to deceive the person into a private place with her. Then she should kill him. She goes to a rooftop where she finds out the person trailing her is August. He looks like an undead, and it even took Teacher his appraisal skills before he could recognize that he is August. However, She denies knowing August and tries to convince August that she isn't the one he met yesterday. The sword gives her up, and August recognizes her. He calls one of his assassins, who is a blue cat, to defeat her. As Fran sees the blue cat, she gets scared. She tells teacher that blue cats are black cat's worst enemies. Meanwhile, a lone lady is seen walking alone at the episode's end. Some monsters come to attack